Hello, everyone. So, I just wanted to break the silence with a very, very important message. And one of the things, if you are a man and you have been on social media or even dating sites, you've probably noticed that a lot of the so called women that you're talking to wind up being scammers, or they're not into this, into the same things you are, so to speak. What I mean is, you're looking for a connection, and they're looking for someone to give them money. Um, and I think there's so many things that go into this. Everything from somebody that doesn't understand socializing, right? There's a lot of people who are very introverted. They're socially awkward. These are people who may have other issues, mental health issues that may not allow them to function like most people would. So they genuinely don't know that there's certain red flags. So, yeah. But I want to talk about how to keep yourself safe online when you're just dating, or how to identify a scammer. So, people get on social media for a lot of reasons. Some people do go on there for legit business promotion. That's definitely a great place to do that. Um, People go on there to make new friends and occasionally find love, which happens. There's nothing wrong with that. And what the problem is that there's a lot of people out there who are sharks. They're, for whatever reason, motivated to screw somebody out of how much money they can get. Um, and they'll pretend to be people that they might pretend to be someone like a romantic interest. They might pretend to be a friend, but then you're not even halfway into your first conversation and they're already giving you a sob story. So one of the things, and so again, I wrote a blog article and that got posted today, and I'm going to put the link to it in here. So that's going to go more in depth than what I want to go here. But I do want to go over some highlights from it. So the first thing is, when people think of a scammer, most of the time you're thinking of someone who's a foreigner, somebody sitting in another country, uh, typically Nigeria or India. And while there are definitely lots of scammers in those countries, there's way more scammers here in the U.S. Your next door neighbor could be one of these scammers. It's just how it is. And granted, there are different types of scammers. So you've got like the international scammers. Their goal is to screw as many people over as they can because they get big money for that. Your local scammers aren't necessarily going to be typical scammers. Really, what they're going to do is they're drug addicts, and they will scam people just to get money to feed their habits. So, regardless of what kind of scammer you're dealing with, there are ways to protect yourself, and there are things you can look out for um, to know if this is a person who's really trying to be your girlfriend or your friend or whatever it is you're looking for, right? So we'll talk about local scammers real quick. Um, the first red flag that I found with a lot of local scammers is if they ask if you have Cash App. If you don't even know the name of their dog and they're already asking you for your Cash App, there's probably, yeah, that's not a person you should have any further interaction with. That's just tacky, and I don't know why people do that. But there's a lot of people who will masquerade and pretend that they're a single mother having problems. But yeah, let's just go through this. So they're typically going to be a drug addict. Their goal is to hit up as many people as they can to figure out who's got Cash App. And they might come up, their goal is going to be a dollar amount that has to do with drugs. And I'm not talking about weed. Granted, you wind up having the same dollar amounts for weed in a lot of cases, but we're talking drugs like coke, crack, heroin, and meth. Those are the big ones. There's some other ones, but ultimately the thing to learn and thing to take note of is these come in purchase amounts between 40, 60, 80, really round numbers like that, because drug dealers don't like to give change or deal with odd numbers. And again, this is something that they take advantage of, quote unquote, normal people not knowing. So, yeah. But yeah, so let's say somebody adds you, you start talking to them, and you start in, so they start off with the Cash App thing, but you keep talking. You say you don't have it, or you say you do. The only time they get interested in talking with you is when they can get money. The first time you give them money, even if it's a little bit, they're going to remember that if I need to get a few bucks, I can get it from this guy. And that's how they think. That's all they care. They don't care about making friends with that person. They don't care about a relationship. They don't care, what that does to the person they're getting money from. They'll do whatever it takes to make them to get them that money, right? So another red flag is, say you've denied them money, but they're still trying to pretend to be your friend. So you talk about, setting up a date or a hangout or whatever, but then they never follow through. You might even find that they will ghost you the day the plans are supposed to happen, and it's weird. I don't want to say that that's a 100% thing that by itself will identify as a scammer, but it's definitely something that you should take note of and not forget, because if it turns into a regular thing, fuck them. So yeah, and then the other thing is you'll find that any conversation that you have with them that doesn't have to do with money, like if they're not approaching you because they need money, they might not even answer you if you're just saying, hey, how's it going? And yeah, so the other thing too is there are certain profiles that look like people who are local to you, but chances are that might be a hijacked account. So that might have been somebody that you know, or somebody that's a mutual friend, or somebody you went to school with. Like maybe at one point in time that profile was in control and belonged to the person that you think it is, but then it's been hijacked, and yeah, like you gotta be careful. Just gotta pay attention to stuff like that, alright? So then, if I'm looking for a local scammer, if I'm looking at a profile, what kind of things should you look for if you're not sure? There really isn't an easy way to tell, but there are certain things that a lot of these scammers do fairly consistently that you can look for. For example, if it's a woman, they'll post a lot of sexy pictures. Photos might be sparse. One clue that the profile is hijacked, and I've seen them do this a lot lately, is they'll hijack somebody's profile, they'll leave the name alone, and they'll change the picture. Like, I literally saw one of my male friends, his account got hijacked, and it got replaced with the picture of, like, I can only assume some OnlyFans model, pretending to be a woman. It's a scammer that, for whatever reason, hasn't figured out that Sean is not a woman's name, but whatever. So yeah, but anyway, so you want to take a look for sexy pictures. They're not posting a lot of pictures. They're not posting many. Look for pictures that look like they might have been professionally shot, because chances are they are. They're modeling shots. Those aren't casual. Like, you can actually spend some time and learn to tell the difference between the kind of picture somebody takes when they're out having fun with friends, or they're on vacation, just shot from the hip from their cell phone, just normal people phones or photos, versus photos that were taken professionally. So you got to be careful with that. You might see that they got multiple profiles. You might see different names with the same photos. Those are all signs that this is either somebody that's a scammer, they've been hijacked, again, there could be a legit reason. So these, there could be a legit thing. Like maybe one of their profiles is a profile they use for OnlyFans, and that alternate name is, I don't know, their pseudonym that they use. That's a thing that happens, but you don't know those things unless you can really find out. If that's what they are, they will tell you. You can ask. Hey, just ask, right? So you might know that this another sign is they have no job, but you start seeing them have items for sale. So those are most likely stolen items. Again, someone who's an addict cares more about chasing their addiction. I want to point out that most addicts that I know don't give a flying crap about getting a job, even though getting a job means that they have their own money so they can buy their own drugs. But this doesn't compute with them. They don't want to work. All they care about is drugs. So instead, a lot of these guys and women will resort to theft and trickery and just scamming people, right? Another thing to watch out for is just, look, normal people aren't overly flirty with you on first contact. Like if your first conversation on Facebook, for example, or whatever, is just them being very flirty with you, that's a red flag in general. Again, might not be a scammer, but could just be somebody that's not right in the head, because that's kind of a thing. So we're now going to talk about non-local scammers. I know this has been going on a little longer than I'd like, but again, the non-local scammers are the ones that most people think about. They will pretend that they are whatever persona that they need to be in order to convince you to give them money. They'll go as far as claiming that their phones are inoperable so you can't do voice or video calls, because I don't know, if you're a 6-foot-tall Nigerian man and you're probably not going to be able to look like or sound like a cute little 22-year-old white California girl, okay? That's not going to work, and they know this. So they will just tell you, oh, my camera's broke, or my phone doesn't work right. Nobody does. Nobody is that out of luck that they don't have access to something. Everybody knows somebody. Like, you gotta have a phone. You've seriously gotta have a phone that works just to get by in life. So, yeah, you can't believe that garbage. Another red flag is you start talking, they'll want to go to something else like Telegram, WhatsApp, or Signal. Yeah, well, here's the delightful thing to know about that. The person you're going to talk to there is not the person on Facebook. They're transferring you to somebody that's higher up in their scammer organization, that's there to be more of a closer, aka they're the ones that are going to squeeze money out of you. Definitely want to pay attention to someone's English. I know this one can be really tough and a hot and very sensitive topic for some people, because there's a lot of people. So, mind you, scammers are going to prey on the people they consider to be weak. And some of those people that are weak that are going to be people that have learning disabilities that, aside from not being able to see other things, they're probably not going to have a very good command of English. They might not notice that this foreign guy is foreign because they're making really weird mistakes in English, and maybe they're just thinking, oh, well, that's just how this person talks. What do I know, right? Well, if you can take advantage of somebody like that, aside from being a real piece of crap, it gets a lot easier. It's where you don't have to try and convince them, right? So, yeah, that's one of the things to look out for. So if you've got a loved one that has, that might be a little bit slow, check on them and look at their messages. Make sure they're not being taken advantage of. Some of these non-local scammers will, in fact, ask for Cash App as well, but most generally not. So in order to get a Cash App account, you have to be stateside. You have to verify as a U.S. citizen to get a Cash App account that you can actually do stuff with. Like, I think you can sign up for an account via behind a proxy and at least get the account created, but as far as being able to get a debit card, being able to send and receive any meaningful amount of money, like above $500, I think is the limit, then you have to verify. So they're not going to, yeah, they can only get so far with a bullshit Cash App account. Now, if they're really organized, they might have a money mule stateside that has a Cash App account that they can send people to, but that's not normal. And so they may play some of these same games that local scammers do. And I just want you to remember, like, I call them scammers because that's essentially what they're doing, but some of these people are genuinely very, very sick drug addicts that will stop at nothing to feed their addiction. So don't underestimate them. Like, I'm telling you right now, there's a reason the old joke says that, every morning a crackhead wakes up with $0 and they're fiending for drugs. And every single day, that crackhead will find a way to get their drugs. So, don't let a crackhead out hustle you, right? But no, this is true. It's not just a lousy joke. So yeah, how do you protect yourself? The most important things here, never transfer money to anyone you've not met in person. And make sure you've met this person at least 3 to 5 times in person before you give them anything, even if you're going to give them $5 or buy them a pack of smokes or whatever. Like that, if you very early on give this person money, that's going to set the precedent that they can ask you for shit. Demand a video call or at least a voice call. Use your discretion with that one. But, the point is, a foreign scammer can't correctly do a video call or even a voice call. Because again, 6'tall Nigerian guy isn't going to be able to sound or look very much like, a cute little white girl in California. Another thing that you should definitely do is learn about the resources that are available to the needy and homeless. So a lot of scammers and a lot of addicts will take advantage of people who have never been poor. So if they know that you've never been poor, they know that you probably have no idea what kind of things that someone who is homeless or needy can get. Like if you're really hurting, everything from food, utilities, clothes, shelter, phone service, and even internet access can be provided at no cost or low cost if you're in need. So yeah, before you think about being someone else's savior, just remember the best thing to do is to point them in the direction and teach them how to help themselves. You can give a man a fish, he eats for a day. You teach a man to fish, he eats for a lifetime. When scammers say they're in need of money for a bill or whatever they want to claim they're lacking, make them show you this bill. So you can see an account number, see a screen, see something that, and a screenshot's not good, by the way, but if the screenshot has the account number, you see the company, you see the amount, quite often, if you ask the right questions, you can ask them, and you can reach out to the company. Like maybe there's an automated number you can call, enter the account number, enter whatever info to verify enough to say, yeah, the balance due is blah, blah, blah. And then you can make that payment. If you really want to give somebody money on their phone bill or they're on a bill, you pay that bill directly. Don't give them money. And if they're not interested in letting you pay that bill for them, that's a sign that they're trying to screw you. So yeah, there's way more stuff that I've added in this list, but I don't want to make this video really long. So yeah, I got the link in the description below so you can read things more in depth, but just stay safe out there.